Hi everyone. Guess what time of year it is? It's pumpkin time again. So in this art lesson, we are going to paint an easy watercolor pumpkin step by step. You can use tube watercolor paints like the ones that I have here and that I keep in my palette and just reuse time after time. Or I can use a watercolor kit such as a Crayola or Prang kit that come with the little squares of color already ready for you. Before you get started, now is a really great time to add a few drops of water to each color that you're going to be using. I'm going to start by sketching in the shape of my pumpkin. So it's going to be an oval right in the middle, followed by crescent shapes with rounded bulbs on each end. I'm going to keep my lines very light so that they don't show up later in my painting. I'm making my lines a little darker than I really should make them because I wanted you to be able to see them on the video. So make sure to just keep your lines as light as you possibly can. I'm mixing together a little bit of ochre yellow with cadmium yellow to make a nice creamy buttery orange. And I'm going to paint each rib section of my pumpkin separately. Keep my lines, keep my strokes really nice and loose and organic. After all, it's a pumpkin and it's going to be organic in shape and not necessarily regular. Make sure to leave a little sliver of white paper between each section of your pumpkin. This will keep the sections from blending together and having your color blur into one kind of blurry mess. If you do get your sections blending together, don't worry about it. Just go ahead and let it dry completely before you move on to using the next color. So you can see each section is separated by just a little sliver of white. And I left a white highlight right in the middle of that middle section, top middle. Now I'm going in, I have some cadmium red mixed with that ochre yellow color for a nice warm orange color. And so I'm going over each section again, but concentrating on the outside. And a little bit more at the bottom as well. Keep adding water as you work so you don't want to get your colors too dense. Now I'm going to rinse out my paintbrush and dab the excess on a paper towel. And now I'm going to go back in and lift off some of the color and blend at the same time. So lift and blend. I'm kind of working on these highlights at the top of the pumpkin. And rinse out my paintbrush as needed. So now you can really see the shape of the pumpkin start to take place. I'm gonna blend out that color a little bit in the middle. A little bit too much moisture there, so I'm just gonna dab it off. Now I have mixed together a little bit of my cadmium red with a burnt sienna brown. Mixing it together, and this is kind of a nice bright orange color. And I'm concentrating it kind of at the bottom for the low lights. And again, keeping each rib separate as I go along so that they don't bleed together. So when you're using watercolor paints, you always work from light to dark. So that's why I started with that light yellow color and I'm moving towards the darker colors. And so you can build up the color little by little. And so I'm going in again and lifting and blending these layers of colors together. Right, and so for a few shadows at the bottom, I mixed together a little bit of burnt umber and black. And again, keeping each rib section separate and just going around the bottom and the sides of the rib section. And I could also lift and blend these sections together, although it seems like I already have quite a bit of water and color on my pumpkin, on my paper right now, that I think that these are just going to kind of naturally blend out together. So I have mixed together a little bit of Viridian green with some yellow and a little bit of black for the green I'm going to be using. I'm going to hit the middle of my stem just a little bit with that green. And a little pumpkin leaf. So we all know that pumpkin leaves are these big, round, kind of funny, floppy things. And if I drew them at the real size, they would kind of overpower my little pumpkin. So I'm just going to draw them little, kind of like they're in the distance or part of the background. And if I wanted to, I could add a little bit of vine. And it can loop around. It's kind of fun. Now I'm going to add a little bit of black into my green to darken it and add a little bit of shadow to each leaf. And I can even add a little bit of shadow where that vine overlaps if I wanted to. And then I'm going to hit the right side of my stem with that darker green color and rinse out my brush and go back into my yellow mixture and do a nice little highlight on the front of each leaf. And a little bit of yellow on the left side of the stem where the light is hitting it. And blend it together with the green that is already there. Lastly, I like to take a little bit of really watered down black paint and paint in a little shadow right underneath the base of my pumpkin, being careful not to touch the rib sections, otherwise that paint will blend together and bleed as well. And rinse out my brush again, get just a dab of water and blend that black out for a really nice smooth transition. That's it for this art lesson. Make sure to leave any questions at artlooklearn.com. And thanks for watching.